before sprawling sandboxes and branching narratives became the norm. A handful of visionary RPGs quietly set the stage for the modern gaming landscape. These classics experimented with open worlds, reactive NPCs, and narrative freedom long before those ideas were buzzwords. They didn't just influence the genre, they shaped how we play today. Let's revisit the pioneers that foresaw the future. Long before open world became a marketing buzzword, Gothic delivered a living, reactive world that demanded respect and patience. This cult classic placed players in a grim penal colony, surrounded by a magical barrier and filled with rival factions, dangerous wildlife, and NPCs who genuinely remembered your actions. Where most RPGs offered static quest givers, this built a society that felt alive and sometimes hostile. From the start, the game makes survival hard-earned. You begin as a nameless prisoner with no allies, no weapons, and no guidance. Every relationship, from miners to mercenaries, must be cultivated through favors, trade, or sheer intimidation. Choose to join the old, new, or religious sect camp, and the entire storyline shifts, with faction politics affecting who trusts you, which quests unlock, and how battles play out. NPCs follow daily routines, head to work, sleep, and react believably to theft or aggression, making the world feel startlingly authentic for its era. Combat is intentionally unforgiving. Early on, even a single scavenger or wolf can kill you, forcing careful planning and an appreciation for stamina and weapon mastery. Earning respect means training with stronger fighters, upgrading gear, and learning from every painful defeat. Exploration is equally rewarding and dangerous. Hidden caves and ancient ruins teem with valuable loot and lethal monsters, while environmental cues, like the changing behavior of wildlife, hint at threats long before you see them. Despite its rough edges, stiff controls, a steep learning curve, it created a template for immersive, player-driven worlds later echoed in Elder Scrolls, The Witcher, and Risen. It proved that consequence-driven design could make a game's setting feel less like a backdrop and more like a living, breathing ecosystem. For players willing to embrace its grit, Gothic remains a visionary achievement that anticipated the freedom and reactivity modern RPGs now strive to replicate. When System Shock arrived in 1994, first-person shooters were barely finding their footing, but this game already understood that atmosphere and interactivity could elevate a genre. Combining FPS mechanics with deep RPG systems, this plunged players into Citadel Station, a labyrinthine space station haunted by the rogue AI Shodan. Instead of simple corridors, it offered a non-linear, interconnected world where exploration and environmental storytelling were paramount. Logs, emails, and security camera feeds revealed the doomed crew's final hours, letting the player piece together a narrative through discovery rather than cutscenes, an approach that inspired games for BioShock to Prey. Inventory management, cyberspace hacking, and character upgrades gave it a complexity unheard of in shooters at the time. Every weapon, every patch, every cybernetic enhancement had a tangible impact on survival, blending action and RPG progression seamlessly. The sense of tension was relentless. Limited resources forced careful planning. Do you burn precious ammo on a mutant ambush or risk melee to conserve bullets for a tougher encounter? The station itself became a character, with Shodan's chilling taunts creating a psychological duel that pushed immersion to new heights. Modern immersive sims, Deus Ex, Dishonored, even Half-Life, trace their DNA back to System Shock. Its fusion of freeform exploration, layered storytelling, and character-driven upgrades redefined what first-person games could achieve. Nearly 30 years later, its influence remains unmistakable every time a game trusts players to uncover a story on their own terms. Before Skyrim and Oblivion brought the Elder Scrolls name into the mainstream, Morrowind was quietly redefining what an open-world RPG could be. Released in 2002, it dropped players onto the alien island of Vardenfell, a volcanic land teeming with bizarre flora, giant insect mounts, and ancient Dunmare culture. Unlike many RPGs of its era, it refused to guide you with quest markers or tidy objective lists. After a brief introduction, you were free to wander in any direction, discover secrets at your own pace, and shape your character however you pleased. Character creation was a playground of possibility. You chose race, birth sign, and a mix of major and minor skills that defined how you'd grow, from a stealthy Khajiit assassin to a magic-wielding Breton scholar. Every action, running, jumping, casting spells, even taking hits, contributed to skill advancement, creating a natural sense of progression. Spells could be combined or custom-built, letting players craft unique abilities like levitation or water walking that enabled wild exploration. The world itself was astonishingly reactive. Join the Thieves Guild and House Hlalu, and you might anger rival factions like House Reduran or the Mages Guild, cutting off quest lines and altering political dynamics. NPCs reacted to your reputation. Crime had lasting consequences, and the lack of fast travel encouraged slow, deliberate journeys through ashland storms and fumble forests. Music swelled dynamically as you climbed Red Mountain or stumbled across Daedric shrines hidden in forgotten corners of the map. Morrowind anticipated the freedom and emergent storytelling now expected of open-world games. Its alien architecture and cryptic lore fostered genuine discovery, while its hands-off design trusted players to carve their own adventure. Modern RPGs still struggle to capture that same sense of wonder and autonomy, making it a timeless benchmark for player-driven exploration and world-building. When Wizardry debuted in 1981, it didn't just influence RPGs, it defined an entire subgenre. At a time when most computer games were simple arcade titles, it introduced deep character creation, party-based adventuring, and a first-person perspective that became the template for countless dungeon crawlers. Players assembled a team of adventurers, each with unique stats and abilities, and delved into a sprawling, multi-level labyrinth where every decision mattered. The game demanded meticulous planning and patience. Permadeath was real, lose your party, and resurrection was costly and uncertain. Mapping the dungeon by hand on graph paper wasn't a novelty, but a necessity, as traps, secret doors, and rotating passages constantly threatened to disorient even seasoned players. Random encounters were frequent and merciless, requiring tactical thinking about spell usage and resource management. Later entries expanded the formula with branching storylines, persistent characters across games, and complex faction politics. This evolving design anticipated mechanics we now associate with modern RPGs. Multi-game narrative continuity, recruitable companions with unique personalities, and the balance of exploration and risk. The series' DNA can be found in everything from Etrian Odyssey and Shin Megami Tensei to Western classics like Might and Magic and Baldur's Gate. Even the first-person view of games, such as Skyrim Ozadet, to the pioneering perspective Wizardry popularized. Though its wireframe visuals and brutal difficulty feel archaic today, the core ideas, party synergy, permadeath tension, and carefully planned exploration, remain timeless. Without this game, the dungeon crawling and first-person RPGs we know today simply wouldn't exist. When it comes to party-based storytelling and deep role-playing systems, few games have ever matched Baldur's Gate 2: Shadows of Alm. Released in 2000, BioWare's masterpiece built on the foundations of advanced Dungeons and Dragons and transformed them into a richly cinematic experience that still sets the bar for character-driven RPGs. While the original was already ambitious, this sequel exploded in scope, weaving together complex companions, morally weighty choices, and a world that responded to every action. The game's greatest strength lies in its companions. Each party member has unique quests, banter, and personal growth. Relationships evolve dynamically. Allies argue, fall in love, or even turn against you based on your decisions. These interactions aren't just flavor text. They influence major battles and endings, giving every choice weight. Combat merges tactical depth with real-time with pause mechanics. Spells have intricate interactions, requiring clever combinations and precise timing to succeed against high-level foes like liches or mind flayers. Character builds are endlessly customizable, letting players mix multi-classing, weapon proficiencies, and rare magical equipment for true strategic freedom. Side quests often rival the main story in complexity, from unraveling murder mysteries to navigating political intrigue in Athkatla's sprawling city streets. Narratively, Shadows of Alm elevates the stakes with an unforgettable tale of ambition, betrayal, and the struggle against one's own godlike power. Every dialogue tree feels like a chance to shape destiny. Modern RPGs like Dragon Age Origins and Pillars of Eternity draw directly from its party dynamics and branching storytelling. 2 decades later, Baldur's Gate 2 still stands as a towering achievement in how richly a role-playing game can make its world and characters feel alive. Released in 2002 by Arcane Studios, Arx Fatalis quietly laid the groundwork for the immersive sim mechanics that would later define their hits. At first glance, it resembles a traditional first-person dungeon crawler, but beneath the surface, it offers a level of interactivity and freedom that was radical for its time. Players awaken in a subterranean world where the sun has died and humanity survives in vast underground caverns. And from that opening moment, the game invites experimentation over brute force. Every system interlocks with surprising depth. Spells aren't just hotkeyed abilities. You trace rune patterns with the mouse to cast them, forcing precision and timing under pressure. Physics-based interactions encourage creativity. Cook food on open fires, mix reagents to brew potions, or manipulate objects to solve environmental puzzles. Stealth, combat, and diplomacy are all valid paths, and most obstacles have multiple solutions. You can sneak through enemy territory using shadows and silence, or forge alliances with the subterranean factions to open new routes and quest lines. The story reinforces this freedom. Moral choices are rarely framed as good or evil. Instead, they emerge naturally from player actions, affecting faction relationships and quest outcomes. Arcane's meticulous level design allows for vertical exploration, hidden shortcuts, and emergent encounters, making every dungeon and city feel alive and reactive. Though its graphics were modest and it never reached mainstream success, it became a cult favorite and an influential template for the modern immersive sim. The spellcasting system directly inspired Dishonored's fluid powers, and the emphasis on player-driven problem-solving foreshadowed the systemic gameplay now celebrated in contemporary RPGs. For those willing to look past its dated visuals, Arx Fatalis still feels startlingly modern, a true bridge between classic dungeon crawlers and today's open-ended design philosophy. Long before open-world post-apocalyptic games became a crowded field, the original Fallout proved how player freedom and branching narratives could transform an RPG. Released in 1997, it dropped players into a grim retro-futuristic wasteland and immediately handed them control of nearly every decision. From the opening vault mission to the final confrontation with the Master, the game refused to dictate a single right path. Want to negotiate your way through the story as a silver-tongued diplomat? Perfectly valid. Prefer to become a power-armored juggernaut who resolves every problem with a minigun? Also possible, and every choice reshaped the world around you. Its special system made character creation a strategic puzzle where no build was trivial. A low intelligence, dumb character unlocked hilarious, unique dialogue, while a high speech build could talk entire factions into peace or war. Timed quests added pressure. Take too long and settlements might starve or get wiped out, altering the ending slides that chronicled the fate of every town and character you touched. Atmosphere played a huge role in its influence. The mix of 50s Americana and grim nuclear ruin gave it a personality still unmatched today. Conversations were fully voiced for key NPCs. Combat combined turn-based tactics with brutal gore, and the dark humor vault text cheery propaganda. The satiric Pip-Boy balanced the bleakness with biting wit. Modern franchises from Mass Effect to Outer Worlds borrow Fallout's ethos of meaningful choice and consequence. Even later Fallout entries, despite bigger budgets, haven't quite recaptured the tight design and moral ambiguity of this original classic. More than a historical artifact, Fallout remains a masterclass in letting players write their own story inside a living, reactive world. few RPGs have ever pushed narrative boundaries as boldly as Planescape Torment. Released in 1999 by Black Owl Studios, it asked, what can change the nature of a man? You play as the Nameless One, an immortal amnesiac wandering the bizarre planes of existence in search of lost memories and the meaning of his eternal life. Instead of focusing on combat or loot, the game delivers a text-rich experience where dialogue, choice, and philosophical introspection take center stage. Words are your greatest weapon. Conversations with companions like the cynical succubus Fall from Grace or the flaming skull Mort unfold with literary depth, offering branching dialogue trees that shape not only relationships, but also the Nameless One's evolving identity. Moral choices rarely boil down to simple good or evil. They probe ideas of redemption, selfhood, and consequence. Combat exists, but it's secondary to the story's emotional and metaphysical weight. The setting is as unforgettable as the narrative. Sigil, the City of Doors, is a surreal metropolis where demons, angels, and mortals coexist under the watch of the enigmatic Lady of Pain. Its strange factions, like the Dustmen who embrace death as liberation or the anarchic Zeus, invite philosophical reflection and endless role-play possibilities. Art direction and ambient music enhance the dreamlike atmosphere, making every district feel both alien and alive. Planescape Torment predicted today's narrative-driven RPGs by proving that dialogue and choice could be as gripping as action. Games like Disco Elysium, Mass Effect, and Torment Tides of Numenera all bear its influence. Decades later, it remains a masterpiece of interactive storytelling, an RPG where the greatest battles take place not in dungeons, but in the mind and soul of its protagonist. When Deus Ex launched in 2000, it didn't just merge genres, it proved that player agency could drive every facet of design. Billed as a first-person immersive sim, it fused RPG depth with stealth, action, and a near-future conspiracy narrative that still feels eerily prescient. You play as J.C. Denton, a cyber-augmented agent in a world of shadowy organizations and competing ideologies, and from the very first mission in the game, lets you decide how to approach every challenge. Each level is a sandbox packed with options. You might hack a security terminal to disable turrets, sneak through ventilation shafts, sweet-talk a guard with the right dialogue choices, or storm the front door in a firefight. Augmentations, cybernetic implants granting abilities like invisibility, silent movement, or super strength, allow for wildly different playstyles, and resources are scarce enough that you can't max them all. This forces meaningful specialization and replayability. What truly set this game apart was how its story responded to these choices. Conversations branch naturally, factions remember your allegiances, and multiple endings reflect the philosophical weight of your actions. Side quests can ripple into the main plot or disappear entirely based on your decisions. Even seemingly minor choices like whether to kill or spare an enemy carry long-term consequences. Its layered narrative of government surveillance, biotech ethics, and global conspiracies anticipated modern anxieties and inspired countless successors, from Dishonored to Prey to Cyberpunk 2077. Few games since have balanced freedom and narrative consequence so elegantly. 2 decades on, Deus Ex still feels startlingly modern, a template for how to let players truly own their experience without sacrificing a gripping, intelligent story. In 1992, Ultima 7, The Black Gate, delivered a living, breathing simulation years ahead of its time. While most RPGs of the era still used rigid tiles and scripted events, this game offered an expansive open world where nearly everything was interactive and NPCs followed daily schedules. Eating, sleeping, working, independent of the player's actions. Shops opened and closed on time. Townsfolk reacted to your reputation, and the day-night cycle felt natural in an age when most games barely simulated time at all. Its depth went far beyond simple interactivity. Players could bake bread from scratch, forge weapons, or brew potions without ever touching the main quest. Conversations unfolded naturally with keyword-based dialogue, allowing nuanced choices and hidden paths. Morality wasn't dictated by a karma meter, but by the consequences of your actions. Stealing food might leave a villager hungry, while murder could destabilize entire towns. The story tackled surprisingly mature themes: political corruption, religious fanaticism, and societal decay, grounding its fantasy in recognizable human struggles. Meanwhile, the seamless interface eliminated the clunky command prompts common at the time, pioneering a mouse-driven UI that would become standard. Modern open-world giants like Skyrim and The Witcher 3 owe a clear debt to Ultima 7. Its commitment to a reactive world and true player freedom anticipated the immersive simulations and open-ended RPGs we now take for granted. Even today, Wandering Britannia feels startlingly modern, a testament to just how far ahead of the curve Richard Garriott's team was more than 3 decades ago.